All right, let's talk about a huge financial shift that's coming for everyone in India. And I mean everyone. It's going to touch everything from your weekly grocery run to some of your biggest life decisions. Because we are talking about a massive overhaul of the GST system. Just think about this for a second. What if, starting in 2025, the cost of your daily essentials, your family's health insurance, maybe even that new car you've been dreaming about, were to actually drop? I know, it sounds a little too good to be true, right? But that's exactly what's on the table. Because a massive GST shakeup is, in fact, on its way. So over the next few minutes, we're going to break down precisely what these changes are, and more importantly, what they mean for your wallet. So, first up, GST is getting a pretty serious makeover. The government has announced what they're calling the next generation of reforms, and they're framing it as a major, much-needed evolution of our tax system. And this isn't just about fiddling with some numbers. The Ministry of Finance is calling it a strategic, citizen-centric evolution of the tax framework. You know, the whole idea here is to make taxes simpler and ultimately improve the quality of life for every single citizen. So let's get right to the heart of it all. What's being called the new simple tax? The biggest change by far is a complete shift in how GST rates are structured, moving away from a system that, let's be honest, a lot of people found pretty confusing.
The name of the game here is simplification. We are moving from that complicated four-tier structure, with rates at 5, 12, 18, and 28%, to a much, much cleaner model with just two main rates. The goal? Total clarity for everyone.
So even though it's simpler, the system still has a few different categories to make sure it's fair. Think of it like this. There's a low merit rate of 5% for all the essential stuff, which should make them more affordable. Then, most other things will fall under one standard rate of 18%. And for a few select luxury or sin goods, there's a higher demerit rate of 40%. It's really designed to be a more progressive system.
Okay, so let's get to the question that really matters. What does this actually mean for your bank account? Let's take a look at how all of this translates into real savings on everyday items and those big-ticket purchases. Get ready for some pretty big drops here. Just look at these daily essentials. Things like toothpaste, hair oil, soap, shampoos. They're all falling from an 18% GST rate all the way down to that 5% merit rate. Wow. Even bicycles are getting cheaper, moving from 12% down to 5%. And the savings just keep coming in the kitchen. Ghee, butter, cheese, they drop from 12% to 5%. Your favorite snacks like packaged namkeens and bhujia? Yep, they get the same drop. And then you've got things like pasta, noodles, coffee, and even chocolates, moving from a high of 18% down to just 5%. That is a serious reduction right across the board.
And hey, it's not just the small stuff. Those big purchases that can really dent the household budget are also getting a tax cut. Small cars and motorcycles under 350cc will now be taxed at the 18% standard rate, down from a whopping 28%. Same thing goes for cement, mid-sized TVs, and air conditioners.
And the savings go beyond just goods. Hotel stays under 7,500 rupees a day will drop from 12% to 5%. Services like gyms, salons, and barbershops, their GST rate is falling from 18% all the way down to 5%. This also gives a boost to key economic sectors, with things like agricultural machinery and leather goods getting some major tax relief. But, as significant as all those price drops are, the single biggest change here isn't a discount. No, it's a complete and total exemption. That's right, 0%. The new GST rate on some of life's most crucial expenses is now 0. This is an absolute game changer. So what's going to be completely GST-free? Well, get this. All individual life insurance policies and all individual health insurance policies, including family floaters, that is huge. On top of that, 36 specific life-saving drugs for treating cancer and rare diseases are now exempt. And hey, as a nice little bonus, all Indian breads like roti and paratha will now have 0 GST. So beyond all the benefits for us as consumers, these reforms are also designed to slash through the red tape and make it way easier to do business, especially for small entrepreneurs. For anyone who has ever thought about starting their own business, this is massive. There's a new simplified GST registration scheme, which means that for most people, approval will be granted automatically in just 3 working days. That's a potential game changer for about 96% of new applicants, just completely slashing the time it takes to get an idea off the ground. And to handle any disputes more efficiently, a new body is being set up. It's called the GSTAT, or the Goods and Services Tax Appellate Tribunal. Basically, its job is to create a faster, more transparent way to solve tax issues, which is so important for building trust and just making it easier to do business in general.
Okay, so you might want to mark your calendars. The new lower rates for goods and services are set to kick in on September 22nd, 2025. Then, that simplified registration process for businesses goes live on November 1st. And finally, the new dispute tribunal, GSTAT, will start hearing appeals in December 2025.
At the end of the day, the government's stated goal for this whole thing is, and I'm quoting here, a strategic, citizen-centric evolution, enhancing the quality of life for every citizen.
Okay, that was a lot of information, so let's just quickly recap the key takeaways. First, taxes are getting way simpler with a new two-rate structure. Second, a huge range of goods and services are getting cheaper. Third, and this one's a biggie, individual life and health insurance are now completely tax-free. And fourth, it's becoming much easier and faster for entrepreneurs to get their businesses up and running.
And that really brings us to the final question, and this one's for you to think about. With lower taxes on daily essentials and zero tax on crucial insurance policies, you're looking at real, tangible savings. So the question is, how are you going to use that extra money to plan for your future?